What is going on, everybody? Sports Expert here, and we are doing a video where this is consisting of one crazy trade every MLB team should make this offseason or at least consider. Before we start the video, we do MLB prediction videos all offseason long and trade videos, trade proposals, and everything. So if you want that type of content, please hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Turn on the post notification bell for those videos when they come out. Hit the like button. Hitting the like button helps our video and channel in the algorithm, and that helps you guys if you guys want these type of videos. So yeah, and commenting does as well. So, and comment what you think about these trades and how you if you would do these trades or not. So it should be interesting. So let's get started, guys. One crazy trade for every MLB team. Starting off with the Baltimore Orioles and the Miami Marlins. I'm going to start with the Marlins. They acquire center fielder Cedric Mullins in a deal. Cedric Mullins was an MVP candidate, and Mullins, you know, he was an all-star. I mean, he has a ton of value, so maybe the Orioles will try to capitalize on that value, and that could be huge here, as the Miami Marlins will try to get a center field. They are going hard for a center fielder, and they have a ton of prospect capital to do so, and you're going to have to give up a ton to get a guy like Mullins, who has 4 more years of control left in 2022, 2023, 2024 and 2025. So I have the Orioles acquiring 2 of the game's top prospects and pitching prospects: starting pitcher Edward Cabrera, starting pitcher Max Meyer, and outfielder Peyton Burdick. So this could be an interesting trade. The Orioles are going to want some of the top prospects, as Cabrera and Meyer will head to Baltimore, and Burdick will head to Baltimore as well. Burdick, who struggled this past season in the minors, he has a lot of potential, though, due to the fact that these players lost a lot of development, so Burdick is definitely a bounce-back candidate for sure. And, Burdick is a guy that the Marlins might look for in a trade. So, yeah, Burdick might be the type of guy that teams might be looking for in a deal for Mullins, as Mullins has a ton of value. It's going to take a haul, and this could be the type of haul it takes for Baltimore to at least just consider, not even accept, but at least consider, because they might try to maximize value on a trade, but we'll see. The Cleveland Guardians and the Cincinnati Reds trade here, the Ohio Cup, obviously Cleveland and Cincinnati, but they will make a trade together. They made the Trevor Bauer trade together already, so it's not impossible they do a trade together. I have the Guardians acquiring all-star outfielder Jesse Winker, and relief pitcher Amir Garrett. And I have the Reds acquiring shortstop outfielder Andres Jimenez, third baseman outfielder Nolan Jones, infield prospect Jose Tena, and starting pitcher Tanner Burns. So this would be an interesting trade for both sides, as Cleveland is looking for an outfielder, and an outfielder that, has a lot of value, especially an all-star. They were looking at Brian Reynolds and Jesse Winker at the trade deadline, so it wouldn't hurt to look for a guy like Winker, as the Reds are trying to cut payroll and get some more young talent on their football team. And Amir Garrett, relief pitcher, didn't have his greatest year, but he's definitely a bounce-back candidate for sure among relievers, and this would be a huge boost for Cleveland's bullpen, as he would join Emmanuel Clase, Nick Sandlin, and James Karinchak, assuming Karinchak gets back on track. So this would be an interesting deal. Jimenez has a lot of potential. Didn't have the greatest year, but he ended off on a very well note. Nolan Jones, his value is down, but, he was a former top 25 prospect, and, he was injured, but at the same time, there might still be some value there. Jose Tena, who's probably not going to be protected in Rule 5, will go off to Cincinnati, give him some more prospect capital. And pitcher Tanner Burns, the Guardians have a lot of pitching prospects already, so Burns is a guy that would make sense to ship off for an outfielder like Winker. The Toronto Blue Jays and the Oakland A's. It looks like the Blue Jays will spend more this offseason, and the Oakland A's are going into rebuild mode, it seems, as manager Bob Melvin has already left for the San Diego Padres. So in this deal, I have the Toronto Blue Jays acquiring third baseman Matt Chapman and relief pitcher Lou Trevino. Chapman is a great defensive third baseman. His value is down a bit, as his offensive production wasn't there, but at the same time, he's only has 1 year left on his deal, so this is the type of value you're going to get if you're the Oakland A's. And Trevino might be added to the deal to sweeten it a bit to get more value back, as the A's acquire starting pitching prospect Gunnar Hoglund, who was just recently drafted, shortstop second baseman Leo Jimenez, and outfielder Dason Brown. Brown didn't have the greatest year, but again, lost a year of development. Jimenez's stock is rising as he hit 320 in the minors this past season, and Hoglund, great prospect out of Ole Miss, definitely will be potential there already coming out. I believe he's a left-handed pitcher, so the A's definitely bolstered their weak farm system with this trade as they ship off Chapman and Trevino, both players that don't have the most value in the world, but definitely will help here in the short term. So yeah. The Seattle Mariners and the Colorado Rockies. The Mariners and Rockies pull off a trade here as the Mariners look to upgrade the lineup and the Rockies look to upgrade the farm system and try to get some pieces back. So I have the Seattle Mariners acquiring third baseman Ryan McMahon and relief pitcher Daniel Bard. McMahon showed a lot of pop in his bat. He hit about 26 home runs this year, something like that, 23, I don't know. But he would definitely be a guy the Mariners could be interested in as they try to upgrade third base, especially power-wise. He hit about 248 for a 248 average. He may have hit for all that power in Coors Field, but there will be value there, and the Mariners will be looking for low-cost guys in trades as they might spend most of their money in free agency. And Daniel Bard is just sweeten the deal as he is a reliever that the Mariners could use, as they could use any team could use bullpen help. And the Rockies acquire third baseman Abraham Toro, starting pitcher Levi Stout, and shortstop Caden Polkovich. Toro is a guy that could absolutely rake in Coors Field as he has a lot of power and has a lot of potential as he's shown in the minors. So if I'm the Rockies, I'm jumping all over this deal. Starting pitcher Levi Stout, he has a lot of potential as well as he had a really strong year in the minors, and Polkovich, he's a young player that was just recently drafted. So if I'm the Rockies, he's the guy I would show interest in, as a guy like Trevor Story will be leaving. So maybe you can put him in the farm system. Maybe he can compete with other shortstops in the system. The New York Mets and the Tampa Bay Rays. The Mets look to upgrade their team here as the Rays look to cut some payroll again. But the Rays get a decent player in this trade as well, as I have the Mets acquiring DH Austin Meadows, with the universal DH most likely coming into play. Meadows is a guy I could see getting dealt to a National League team, as his defense is a bit subpar. And I have the Rays acquiring third baseman outfielder J.D. Davis, outfield prospect Khalil Lee, who saw some time in the majors this year, and starting pitching prospect Josh Walker. So if I'm the Tampa Bay Rays here, I would do this deal for sure. You cut some payroll, you get a solid player back in return, maybe not the best defensive player, but a really nice hitter that could hit absolutely and can absolutely rake for Tampa, a team that, is known for developing players like crazy. Khalil Lee, he wasn't great in his first stint in the majors, but there's going to be some developing there, and he can show some potential with the Rays. And starting pitching prospect Josh Walker is just a filler in, as he had a strong season in the minors too. But, the Rays know what prospects to acquire, and this could be a guy they're interested in. They always like their pitching prospects. The Boston Red Sox and the Chicago White Sox. This is an interesting combination, as the Red Sox will get an interesting player from the White Sox as the White Sox get some capital back. As the Red Sox will acquire relief pitcher Craig Kimbrell, the White Sox picked up a $16 million option, but it seems like they'll plan to trade him, as it looks like they might actually cut some payroll, but it doesn't mean they'll be out of contending, because they may add some in free agency, but at the same time, I don't know. And the White Sox will acquire outfield prospect Gilberto Jimenez to bolster the farm system, and starting pitcher, relief pitcher who's seen major league time, Connor Siebold. Siebold is a guy that fits the mold of the Chicago White Sox, and Kimbrell fits the mold of the Boston Red Sox, as the Red Sox are looking for relief pitching help, and they were interested in Kimbrell at the deadline when he was with Chicago. So the White Sox, they get rid of his contract and acquire two solid players. Prospects, I guess you could say player/prospects. Kimbrell didn't work out in Chicago, and it seems like they might mutually agree to some type of trade, as he'll be gone. But, we'll see what happens here. I think this would be a great value trade for both sides. The Red Sox try to go for the World Series next season, as they just fell short in the ALCS as they lost in 6 games to the Houston Astros. And the Chicago White Sox, they get a nice major league pitcher back that can help this season as well. The San Diego Padres and the Los Angeles Angels, they pull off a trade. This one's definitely one of the more interesting and intriguing deals I have on here, so stay tuned for this one, as I have the Los Angeles Angels acquiring starting pitcher Mike Clevenger and relief pitcher Emilio Pagan. And I have the Padres acquiring outfielder Joe Adele. With Tommy Pham likely leaving in free agency, the Padres could look for some prospect capital here, but it looks like they'll look for some major league capital here as the Angels acquire a pitcher that they've been interested in for a long time, a former Angel too, a former Angel farmhand in Mike Clevenger, and relief pitcher Emilio Pagan, who struggled as both their values are a bit low, and that's why Adele could be headed to the Padres in this deal, as they'll look for some outfield help, and Adele would be perfect for the Padres. They can develop him and make him one of the better hitters in baseball, potentially, if he can reach his full potential. So he has the power numbers, but, he's going to have to show it. And the Padres are one of those teams that can definitely develop their players well. So if I'm the Padres, I'm jumping all over this, and the Angels should jump all over this too if they get a starting pitcher. And they already have Brandon Marsh in there. Maybe they can sign an outfielder. They have Trout. They have Jordan Adams in the minors too. His stock's down a bit, but at the same time, they could use him. And this could be an interesting deal for both sides as well. The Atlanta Braves and the Milwaukee Brewers pull off a trade here, as this is a very interesting one, as the Braves acquire relief pitcher Josh Hader. Hader might be moved for a huge package, as the Brewers might try to capitalize on that for his control. They probably want to trade him while he has control left. And the Brewers will acquire starting pitcher Kyle Wright, who'll fill out that rotation with Burns, Woodruff, Peralta, Hauser, and now Wright. A younger guy instead of keeping Brett Anderson, unless you keep Anderson for depth. You acquire outfield prospect Drew Waters, top 100 prospect. His stock is down a bit, but he's a nice buy low candidate right now. And relief pitcher Richard Rodriguez to replace Josh Hader. Hader's value is sky high, obviously, for the best reliever in baseball. He's basically unhittable, so the Brewers are going to have to give up a decent package here. The Braves, and they are going to have to acquire a decent package as they get Wright, Waters, and Rodriguez. I think this would be a perfect trade for both sides, as Hader has control left. Wright is a guy that's shown some potential, but not all that potential. As Waters, he can hit for average and everything, and there's definitely a lot to like there. And Richard Rodriguez, the thing about him, he wasn't amazing with the Braves, but he got injured, but he'll show some value with the Brewers, and he can form a great duo with him and Devin Williams. The Washington Nationals and the Minnesota Twins, they pull off a trade here as the Nationals acquire third baseman Josh Donaldson. Donaldson has a large salary, so not sure if teams will want to trade for him, if teams will be willing to give up a lot for him. And I have the Twins acquiring third baseman Carter Kieboom, former top prospect, and starting relief pitcher Aldo Ramirez, who actually was just acquired by the Nationals in the Kyle Schwarber trade from the Red Sox. So the Minnesota Twins, they go out and get a guy like the Nationals get a guy like Donaldson who can help their lineup. Maybe they're not willing to take on the payroll now as they sold a lot of pieces at the deadline, but at the same time, they don't have a ton of money on the books, and they really like Donaldson. They were willing to sign him to that same contract, and he still puts up decent production. It's just teams may not be willing to give him $30 million for about 2 more seasons, but I could see the Nationals doing it as they give up Kieboom, a guy that maybe they give up on in a reclamation project with a fresh start for the Minnesota Twins, and starting relief pitcher Aldo Ramirez heads to the Twins to sweeten the deal a bit, as the Twins will look for more young pitching. The Pittsburgh Pirates and the Philadelphia Phillies, this will be a huge blockbuster trade, as the Phillies will obviously be the buyer in this trade. The Phillies will acquire all-star outfielder Brian Reynolds and starting pitcher JT Brubaker, who lost some value towards the end of the year, but is still a solid player. And the Pirates acquire third baseman Alec Boehm, who had a down year, starting pitcher and their number 1 prospect Mick Abel, starting pitcher Andrew Painter, outfielder Johan Rojas, outfielder Mickey Moniak, former first overall pick potential there, and catcher Rafael Marcon, who the Pirates actually wanted in a deal, so that could be interesting. So the Pirates get rid of Reynolds and to Brubaker, and with the value they have, they try to capitalize on it like the Orioles could with Mullins, as the Pirates get Boehm, Abel, Painter, Rojas, Moniak, and Marcon. A huge package, as the Phillies don't have all the prospect capital, so they give up a guy like Boehm who could entice the Pirates. He has a ton of potential, had a great rookie year, hit .338, so this could be an interesting deal. And, the Pirates could accept it, but we'll see. Brubaker is a pitcher for the Phillies. The Phillies want to, fill out their rotation. They have Gibson, Nola, Wheeler, Brubaker you put in there, and yeah, you got a nice rotation there. Maybe they go out and get another pitcher, but we'll see. The Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Rangers might look to spend. They don't have a lot of money in the books, and the Diamondbacks are clear sellers now, as the Diamondbacks aren't looking to do much. As I have the Rangers acquiring outfielder Ketel Marte and starting pitcher Madison Bumgarner in this deal, and I have the Diamondbacks acquiring second baseman Justin Foscue, top 100 prospect. He was a first overall pick in 2020. Evan Carter, outfielder, who was a second round pick in 2020. First baseman Curtis Terry saw some major league time, and second baseman Nick Solak. So the Rangers will get one huge piece they need, as Marte would be huge. They get a starting pitcher in Bumgarner. His salary is high, but I don't think they really care about that. I think they just care on adding pieces to the team. And Bumgarner had a nice, strong finish, and he showed that he isn't fully washed yet. So the D-backs acquire a top 100 prospect in Foscue, a guy that values up a ton. Evan Carter, I don't think anyone expected that with Carter in his first year in the minors. First baseman Curtis Terry, who didn't hit very well in the majors, but has, some untapped potential potentially, as he was a top 30 prospect. And second baseman Nick Solak, same with him. Didn't have the greatest year, but he came into his own towards the end of the season. And that's a guy the Diamondbacks could target to replace Marte for the foreseeable future. So it could be an interesting deal here. The Kansas City Royals and the San Francisco Giants. The Giants will be the buyer here, obviously, as I have them acquiring starting pitcher Mike Minor and second baseman outfielder Whit Merrifield. The Giants will be looking for pitching help this offseason, and Minor is a guy that they could go for for a buy low candidate. He only has one more year on his deal, and Merrifield, he can play in the infield and outfield, so that would be a huge acquisition for the San Francisco Giants. And I have the Royals acquiring top 100 prospect and outfielder Heliot Ramos, catcher Patrick Bailey, and shortstop Will Wilson. The Giants obviously get those two players, and the Royals get a nice outfield prospect. His stock is lower now, but at the same time, a bounce-back candidate for sure. Patrick Bailey, catcher, they have Melendez and Perez still, but at the same time, Bailey could switch position. Maybe they move a guy like him to the outfield, as obviously Joey Bart is the future catcher there in San Francisco. And shortstop Will Wilson, former first-round pick. Maybe the Royals tried to take a chance on him and give him some time in the infield and maybe even DH. We'll see. But that could be an interesting acquisition for the Royals. They try to get these guys on the team and change position and give them some value. The Detroit Tigers and the Chicago Cubs swing a deal here, as I have the Tigers acquiring outfielder Ian Happ. He is owed $8 million in arbitration this year. I don't know if the Cubs will be willing to pay that, as they are looking to sell some pieces off, but at the same time buy some pieces. I don't know if they're going to want to spend all that money on a guy like Ian Happ, as Happ did have some struggles last year. He came into his own towards the end of last season, but at the same time there might be some concerns with him, as the Tigers acquire him and put him in the outfield, and the Cubs acquire outfield prospect Daniel Cabrera and second baseman, third baseman prospect Andre Lipkus. As the Cubs get a couple decent prospects here, they're not going to get a huge package for Happ, but they get a couple decent prospects, and this is basically a 50-50 win-win deal, as the Tigers get their outfielder and the Cubs get Cabrera and Lipkus, as this could be a deal for both sides. I could see the Cubs easily accepting this, but I could see them easily declining it, but it depends on if they want to spend on Happ, which I think maybe they can, but maybe they won't. So, but, the Cubs, they might want to, just add to the farm system and get a couple prospects here to help in the near future. The New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. I have the Yankees in this trade acquiring DH outfielder A.J. Pollock. He would have went into free agency this offseason, but at the same time, he did not reach a limit for his at-bats where he could reach free agency, so he'll stick with the Dodgers. And the Dodgers acquire outfielder Clint Frazier and relief pitcher Michael King. So, Pollock, he had a really nice year for the New York Yankees. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees would be smart to acquire a guy like him. He can be a designated hitter. He can play in the outfield. And the Yankees need some outfield help. A guy that they could acquire is Pollock. Maybe they move a guy like Judge to center field. Judge, Pollock, and Gallo could be a great pairing. Maybe you even put Pollock on the bench, and you have some great depth there, as you have outfielder Clint Frazier going the other way. He's been injury prone, and he's a guy that doesn't seem like a part of the Yankees' future. And relief pitcher Michael King to sweeten the deal to give the Dodgers an extra player, as Pollock probably is worth more than Frazier at this point. So, King, he would be a nice acquisition for the Dodgers, as they probably are going to lose Kenley Jansen. So if I am the you know, the Dodgers, I'm looking for some relief help as, you know, as much relief help as they can get. So a guy like Michael King, who showed some promise with the Rangers and the Yankees, I would get him and, you know, just plug him in the bullpen. Maybe he's a guy you like, maybe he's a guy you don't like. Give him a chance in this trade, though. And maybe you try to get a guy like Clay Holmes, but I don't see that happening. And the last trade of this video, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Houston Astros swing a deal, as I have the St. Louis Cardinals acquiring starting pitcher, relief pitcher Christian Javier. He was a starting pitcher with the Astros, but at the same time, you know, he was in the bullpen most of the season. So, you know, he is a starting pitcher. And if he goes on the right team that needs starting pitching like the St. Louis Cardinals, they could take a chance on him. This would be a huge acquisition, as he looked very good as a starter too and a reliever. But the Astros acquire, and this is a big one, relief pitcher Alex Reyes. He made the All-Star team, but there are definitely some concerns with him. His advanced stats aren't great. You know, his walk issues are concerning, but he's a guy the Astros could look into trading, as Javier is a guy, maybe they value Reyes more than Javier, as they might lose Kendall Graveman in free agency. They make Reyes a setup man behind Ryan Presley, and they trade Javier to St. Louis, a team that needs starting pitching, as Javier would, maybe he would want to be a starting pitcher, maybe he requests a trade, so they get rid of him, and they take Reyes here, as Reyes in Houston would be an interesting acquisition. So if I'm the Astros, I would definitely consider doing this deal. So, you know, this could be an interesting deal for both sides, as it's really 50-50 here. They're kind of similar, as the Astros get an all-star reliever and the Cardinals get a, you know, all-star number type guy in Javier, as he can start, he can relieve. Even Reyes could start. He might actually compete for a starting job next year, but I think he's better suited in the bullpen. I don't trust him as a starter, but maybe the Astros go that route. They probably are going to lose Greinke this season in pending injuries too. So maybe they try to fill a rotation with Framber Valdez, Lance McCullers. You know, maybe they keep Verlander. We'll see. But it should be an interesting, you know, should be interesting as the Astros try to piece the puzzle of their pitching staff and their bullpen, as Reyes could be a guy. Same with the Cardinals too. They're going to try to piece the puzzle on their starting rotation and their bullpen. But I think Javier would start on the Cardinals, and obviously Reyes would be a setup man on the Astros. So those are the trades I have in this video, guys. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Would really appreciate that, guys. As one crazy trade every MLB team should make this offseason, or at least consider. Please hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Turn on the post notification bell. Hit the like video. Liking the video helps our video in the algorithm and recommendations. Everything. It would mean the world to me. Same with commenting, as that would help as well. So I appreciate you guys tuning in and giving me views and everything. You guys are awesome. And, you know, I make this content every day, every other day too. So I do a lot of live streams as well for MLB and other sports. So that would be awesome, guys, who could, you know, take a chance on this channel. So I'd appreciate it, everybody. Sports expert here. I'll see you on the next video. I'm out, guys.